Hi, everyone. I'm Don Saucier. I'm the Faculty Associate Director of our Teaching and Learning Center. You have found your way to our professional development series, and are really happy about that. We're going to begin today, as we always do, with a land acknowledgement.
Okay, Don, just give me a thumbs up whenever you see what I want you to see. Okay, cool. Here we go.
As the first land grant institution established under the 1862 Morrill Act, we acknowledge that the state of Kansas is, historically, home to many native nations, including the Kaw, Osage, and Pawnee, among others. Furthermore, Kansas is the current home to 4 federally recognized native nations: the Prairie Band Potawatomi, the Kickapoo Tribe of Kansas, the Iowa Tribe of Kansas and Nebraska, and the Sac and Fox Nation Missouri in Kansas and Nebraska.
Many native nations utilized the western plains of Kansas as their hunting grounds, and others, such as the Delaware, were moved through this region during Indian removal efforts to make way for white settlers. It's important to acknowledge this, since the land that serves as the foundation of this institution was, and still is, stolen land.
We remember these truths because K-State's status as a land-grant institution is a story that exists within ongoing settler colonialism and rests on the dispossession of indigenous peoples and nations from their lands. These truths are often invisible to many. The recognition that K-State's history begins and continues through indigenous contexts is essential.
Please remember
These truths,
because we still remember.
Thank you. Our professional development series meets on Wednesdays at noon in real time over Zoom all throughout the academic year. We also archive our videos on our website for asynchronous viewing. So today you're probably going to say, wow, I wish my colleagues were here and could see this. Well, they can see it a little bit later today. We'll upload it to our website and you can share this link with them so that they can see it then too. We also have opportunity for you to earn a TLC professional development certificate, either as a graduate student or as a faculty or staff member. My colleague's going to drop that information here in the chat just a second for that. I do want to kind of let everyone know, everyone who's applying for that professional development certificate, those applications are due by Friday, May 30th, end of day. So check that out. Also, if you want to be a TLC fellow, this is for faculty who not only are interested in making themselves more excellent teachers, but want to make other people excellent teachers too. You can apply for fellow status in the TLC, and that is available on that same date. So applications by Friday, May 30th. We also have our SOTO Showcase coming up here in a little bit. The SOTO Showcase will meet on Monday, May 12th. That's the Monday of finals week from 1:30 to 4:30 in Hale Library. We'll have a slate of oral presentations as well as poster presentations. And if you said, oh my goodness, I didn't realize the due date was this past Friday and you have something, email me super quick and we can see what we can do to potentially consider you for inclusion in that SOTO Showcase. So if you've got a good teaching idea, good research product related to teaching, something like that, reach out real quick. We'll try to include you moving forward. And if not, and if you're already in there presenting, please come and learn a bunch of awesome things that other people on our campus are doing. And I think those are my announcements. Am I missing any announcements there, Ashley? Ashley says no. So the last thing we do is we tell you what's coming up next week because we only have 3 more of these after today. Can y'all believe we're almost to the end of the semester? This is our third to last or fourth to last Wednesday of the semester. Next week, Gaia Hawk is going to be talking about what are we supposed to do, giving effective directions to enhance student learning. Very excited for that. But today I'm super excited because we have Dr. Raelynne Hale here from Modern Languages talking about how to increase engagement with VoiceThread. Dr. Hale, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen as well. So I've seen some of you before in some of my workshops, so some of this will look familiar to you, and it might be a refresher. But for those of you who have not engaged with VoiceThread, I hope this gives you some ideas. We do have a university license that at the moment Modern Languages is sponsoring, and so you're able to use this awesome tool in your classes. So I hope to inspire you today and answer some questions. So first, Don already gave me a nice introduction, so I think I'll skip my introduction. As an also side note, in addition to modern languages, I am the founder of the K-State AI Symposium, and so I do a lot of work with AI and humanities, and also AI research around campus, and highlight, all of our lovely professors working in that, and we'll have a symposium this coming October, the 14th to 16th. So if you're interested in that, you can contact me about it as well. So why did I pick VoiceThread as a tool? There are so many tools out there, but I was really frustrated with online education back in 2016, 2017. I didn't have a tool that I really liked. And in 2018, I started taking some courses and learning about some other tools and what we could do. And VoiceThread really stuck out to me because it made my asynchronous online courses more engaging. I could see my students' faces, I could hear their voices, and they were interacting more with each other. And I found it was a great tool to create community in the classroom and to have students engaging with me and each other and the content all at the same time in one location, instead of having a discussion board, a video panel, a YouTube they had to watch, and all these other things. I could merge them together with VoiceThread. So today I want to talk to you about what VoiceThread is, what you can do with it, and then give you some examples from my courses. My online courses are Spanish language courses, and I have some examples from translation courses, but these things can be translated to other courses. So VoiceThread is an interactive, collaborative, web-based tool that allows users to communicate through images, audio recording, videos, and text. And you can decide if students can add their own slides or not, if students can add video or not. And so you have some control as an instructor for that. So what can you do with VoiceThread? With the license that Modern Languages is sponsoring for the university, we can integrate VoiceThread with Canvas, which means that you can assign it through the external tool system in Canvas, and you can have students assigned to watch it, and it will track if the student watches the whole video and automatically assign points to the gradebook for that. You can assign students to participate and leave audio or text comments on certain slides. And then again, you can monitor that through the gradebook. You can also assign students to add slides that they narrate, which is great. Or you can create a dashboard for student presentations. And this is one of the most common ways that people use it. And so students can create their own presentation, and it will create a gallery of all the students' presentations. And I like to add that they have to have some sort of participation slide in their presentation that other students have to go and participate on. And so it's a great way for students to display their learning and their progress and their projects. So here are some examples from my course. I start out the first week for my online courses as like a present yourself, introduce yourself on VoiceThread, presentate. And so I have students upload a slide that is about them with a photo and some information, and then they narrate that slide and they tell us about themselves. And so that's audio, video, and a slide. And that's also training them how to use VoiceThread, but then they can see everyone in the class and everyone is visible. And so then after that, I have one deadline for that. And then afterwards, by Sunday, they need to watch each other's and comment on them and say hello. And so this really creates community. And I think VoiceThread is really good for creating community in online classes. And again, bringing the human into this online digital world, which is great. So here's an example. I'll show you an example of this as well. But I add little pro tips, and I have the slides for this that I've shared with TLC, and they can share them with you or post them with a recording. But my tip is that if you have a really big class that has more than 30 students, you can create them into groups, and you can say group 1. And if it's integrated into Canvas, you can even put only the students in that assignment box, and only those 15 students can access that particular VoiceThread. And then you can create another assignment that says group 2 and assign it to only the next 15. And that way you can manage larger groups. So that's my little pro tip. But I want you to see how this looks in practice. So can you still see my screen? Okay, great. I was like worried about the transition there. So here you can see all of my slides. I have a how to introduce yourself, create a slide, upload it, and leave a comment. And I even have instructions for how students can do that and where they add their slides and where they can add their replies and what that looks like. I even have an oopsie. Did you do it wrong? How can you download it and put it in the right spot? And finally, students will add a slide that has images on them, and then they'll have this video.
Hello again, I'm Prof. Hale or Professor Hale. So I'm a literary scholar and I received my
So you don't need to listen to all my intro, but you'll see that you can have them there. I didn't get permission to share the students' ones in this particular one, but in some of the others, I do have permission to share the students' interactions. But it's really great to see all of your students. You kind of get to know them too, their style. Some of them have really cute slides. Others are just like black and white text. And so you get to kind of see the personality come through. And then you get to hear their voice and see their face, which for me is really important in the online classroom, because sometimes I feel a little bit alone in the void when I teach online. Another thing that I do are weekly lectures. And so you can also just upload all of your slides. So if you already have a slide deck that you like to use in your classroom, you can just upload that and then you can record in tidbits on each slide. You can record over a couple of slides at a time. I like to do it on individual slides or small groups so that if I ever need to interchange a slide, or maybe that like deadline slide, then I can upload it every semester, just that one slide, and the rest of the recording is saved and I can reuse that material, which when you're teaching online is very valuable and important because it takes a lot of time to create these materials. So I have an example of that too. However, I do change my slides from an in-person class or a synchronous online class. For the online ones, I make sure I have icons on the slides where students are supposed to participate so that they know, oh, I've got to stop here and do that. And so you can see an image of that slide here. Let's stop and discuss. But I'll show you how that looks as well in practice.
So
So here
Dr.
I
Hale,
have,
real quick.
yeah, sure.
Couple things kind of going on in the chat. Do you want me to interrupt you with questions? Do you want
Oh,
to
sure. I'm sorry. I'm not monitoring the chat at all, but please feel free. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And also, we were seeing the presenter view of your slides a little bit ago,
Oh,
and that's fine as long as you're cool with that. But just wanted to put that
oh,
out
it was
there.
the other side. Oh, interesting. Okay.
But someone asked, does the stuff we're doing here meet the requirements for disability services, for accessibility, those sorts of things?
Yes, it does. So one of the things that I really love about VoiceThread is their constant innovation in terms of accessibility. It used to be when they first started that in order for it to be accessible, they had a different version of it called VoiceThread Universal. And that one had captioning and had all these great things embedded. Now, last year or maybe the year before, they merged it. And so all of the voice threads have automatic captioning. You can see this caption here and you can edit them. At the moment, I will say that the captioning functions very well in English. If it's in other languages, you'll have to update and do the captioning yourself, but you can have it. So it has that ability. And also the comments, any student comment, those are also captioned and they can click the captioning on it. Unlike the Canvas discussion board where sometimes you can make your stuff caption, but then if the students are participating in the thread, it doesn't have that captioning option. So VoiceThread has integrated captioning for that, which is great. It also has navigation tools for screen readers and other students who maybe have visible or issues with their vision or are blind. Yeah.
So are the
Yes, the
captions that they
captions are
create?
editable.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, please interrupt. I'm from a big family. I'm used to being interrupted, so I don't mind that at all. So and this presentation is for you guys, right? So any questions you have, please, and thank you, Dawn, for managing the chat and drawing my attention to that. So here you can see I just have a slide deck, right? I have my regular slides, but I have a little note of like, this is an activity-based lecture. You need to participate. Some things for students, sometimes they take online classes because they want to work at their own pace and go through and for me, I'm like, this is a participative class and like we're going to interact with each other and we're going to do that multiple times throughout the week because it's shown that we learn better when we engage more often with the material, especially for language classes. And so some students come in resistant like, oh, I want Sunday only deadlines. but they get used to it really quickly. And in the reviews, they're very happy of this way. And they're like, I felt like I was really in a class. And I'm like, yay, that's what we wanted. But I let them know the intentions, right? So here you can see I've got a think, write, and submit. So if I want them to do a longer form assignment and then submit it to Canvas with rubrics and things, I can do that. They also have different short assignments, and they have, this one's an explanation, and then I have my slides. So I lecture for a little bit, and then I have these stop and think activities, or I have this stop and discuss activity, and I go through it. So I can go through just like I would in my in-person classes, where I talk for a little bit and then have them share out, or I talk for a little bit and have them participate in pairs and share out. I can do that in the online environment. And so I really like that for my lecture, because it mirrors or mimics my in-person style. Okay, let's see if this works. Are you still seeing my presenter view?
Yes, we are.
Are you now seeing the
Now
regular
we're
view?
seeing just your slide.
Oh, that is so strange. Were you able to see the voice threads when I'm sharing?
I'm not 100% sure what I was supposed to be seeing. I could still see your slide.
Oh,
No, we
okay.
weren't seeing the
So
voice
I'm
threads.
sharing. Okay. Okay. So that means I'm not sharing the appropriate screen then, is what's happening. Okay. So let me try again. Love technology. So it should be, let's try this again. How now? Can you see this? Like, this is a voice thread.
We're
Can you see? It's got
Now
little
we're seeing
slides, black
right.
area. We're
Yep.
so
good.
Now we're seeing
Okay.
right.
So
slide of
I
you and
apologize.
some
This was
people.
my very first one. That's my introductory voice thread. I apologize.
My
And then
doctorate from UCR in Spanish.
my video of me introducing myself. So that was the one we missed earlier. And this is the one that has my slide deck for my class. I apologize. Thank you for letting me know. So this was the slide of instructions and intent, and then explanation of what they do. So you can see these red thought bubbles, and that's where they kind of have to stop and participate. But here you can see I have lecture slides, and I talk to my students and I give a lecture. And then I have stop and discuss. So that's what I was saying. It kind of mirrors my in person, but in the online environment, I have to have some sort of tag. In person, I'd be like, okay, now we're going to discuss this, right? And I would signal that, to them. But here they need to know how to discuss. So I have a little line break here, stop and discuss, and then I have how they do that. Now, after a few weeks in the semester, they get used to that, but in the beginning, they really need some guidance on how to use it. So that is an example of how my lectures are on VoiceThread. Okay, are we back to the regular slide? Okay, awesome. So I like this because it provides students a space to reflect. What I've also found is my wallflowers really shine. And so I hear every student's voice. Sometimes in the classroom, we only have time to hear 2 or 3 student opinions about one question that we share out. In the online, all of them get a chance to upload their video response, and then we get to hear that. And so I really like it for that as well. I also wanted some small group discussions, and so I have a couple of examples of those. This one is one where I assigned students to the discussion, and then I also have an example of where students are assigned to different groups, right? So, and then some where they assign their own groups and pick the groups, and also some where they have open topics. So I'll go through some of these different group examples as well. I have a lot of text on the slide. That way, if someone reads the slide, they can come back to it and know what we were talking about. This one here is where I assigned groups. And so this was for a Spanish class. This is an intermediate discussion class. And so here we have, you need to leave your original comment by Tuesday and your responses by Sunday at midnight, or I had Monday at 8 a.m. And here I have the instructions, like first, we're going to listen to the newscast. Second, you're going to answer questions about it. And third, you're going to engage with your group. And here I had the different questions that the students were going to think about. And then I showed them an example group slide. So I said, okay, these are the instructions again, and then you're going to have group names. And so here you can see I had Emma, Henry, Walter, Jessica, and John in this group. Here, Reina, Esteban, Erica, and Fernando in this group, etc. And so the students knew exactly where they needed to go. and where they needed to participate, and they only talked to those 5 people. So they had some different, they put their opinions first, and then they could click on the little square icons of each other and do a recording and a reply to them. And it kind of created this nice discussion. In a different one, the next one here, they got to pick their own. So here I said there's max 4 on the slide. Once there are 4 original comments on there, you've got to pick a different discussion topic to join. And this one's a little bit more messy. As an instructor, you have to ensure that everybody's in a group, and you have to make sure there's not a straggler, a straggler in one group by themselves. So usually that Tuesday deadline on Wednesday morning, I make sure everybody's aligned. If there's somebody who's by themselves, I'm like, hey, can you join this group? And I'll have them move over to that. And so there's a little bit more that I have to do to facilitate this style versus the assigned style. But this one worked really well, and we have different students who have prompts. Now this one I have permission to share, and so I want you to see what this looks like when the students are engaging. So here we have 2 different students. We have Jacqueline and Jocelyn who were in this group. So only 2, is max 4, but only 2 participated, and that's okay. And so we have the original comment here, and they left an
Hi
audio
everyone,
comment.
I
And
will
for
be
this one,
discussing prompt 1, how have Twitter and Facebook
so they shared out, and then they had Jocelyn came back and recorded
Hi,
another
Jacqueline. I
audio.
hope
So you can see that it's in a thread. So you can see the squares are their original and the circles are their comment. And I made sure to tell them, like, you have to come back and respond to people who left replies to you, right? So that back and forth, which is hard in the online class. And so you can see kind of how it delineates that in VoiceThread. I do see a question in the chat. Is the grouping function within VoiceThread, or are you using something else like Canvas? Those groups are within the VoiceThread platform, but it will not separate them in the assignment. In the assignment on that VoiceThread, everyone is together, and then they have an individual slide that I put names on, and they're in a group, but the grading side of it is all one. Does that answer your question? If you want different groups to have their own voice threads, you can set that in Canvas and make it a group, but you have to do it with individual assignments. At the moment, the 2 technologies are not sophisticated enough to communicate the group element to one another because they're done differently on each platform. But does that help a little bit? Okay. And I'm happy to help you set that up too, if that is something you're interested in. You can reach out via email, and I can work with you on how to do that. I did a whole other training for how to do group work online with Canvas. So I'm all about how to figure out how to get those tools working together. So here you can see the different prompts. For this one, this was where one person participated on their own, and I had to move them to another group, right? So again, it takes a little bit of helping different students. Here you can see there were 3. And here, I really love this one because there were multiple back and forths with this group. And so they had a more deep discussion, or a deeper discussion there, which was great. And again, this one was one that was moved. So I emailed these 2 students and I said, hey, which 2 do you guys want to do together? And I moved them to be together, which was great. So you can kind of see how that works a little bit. The final example was a group discussion. This was for a culture course, Intro to Hispanic Civilization. And here, instead of the students having topics to choose, they had authors that they were looking at. And so the same or a similar format for them, instead of choosing like the topic, they had researched different authors and different people, and then they could go talk about those with different groups. Okay, so that's kind of the group examples of the group work that we did. Some pro tips for doing group stuff online. I have multiple deadlines throughout the week, but they are consistent, regular deadlines. So those deadlines don't change. So if my deadlines are Tuesday, Thursday, they're always Tuesday, Thursdays. If the deadlines are Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they're always Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I find that this helps the students get into a groove and not be so jarred by a change. In the in-person class, you can give them, little heads up. Hey, we're going to move the exam from Friday to Monday. because of this or this, and you can work with them and give them little reminders. In the online class, a change like that can be very jarring and can be a student, it can impact a student from, being engaged and like getting things done to being off track and then a little lost. So I really make sure that I have these consistent deadlines. And so a lot of times I'll have their first comment and their reply, and then their reply to reply, and then their wrap up, right? So it could be a 2-week discussion, or it just depends how you do it. I also don't do group discussions every single week. I like to vary a little bit of like this week they can just do individual participation. This next week we're doing a group, and then the next, and then rotate. So I have like 3 varieties of those that they get used to. So it's not too crazy. They don't have to relearn how to do it every single week, but it's also a little bit more relaxing for them and also for me to monitor. Some takeaways from this is these group discussions have made my online courses so much more meaningful, at least for me. I love hearing their voice and their tone. I also find that we're able to have some conversations that like in a text might be upsetting, right? We can hear the person's intent. We can do critiques. I've done peer reviews this way. And instead of reading the paper like this could be improved, you hear the student's voice saying like, oh, I thought this was interesting, but here I was a little confused about this. And that tone and being able to see that is so much more meaningful. And so a lot of times, for me, I get to hear the students, but the students also engage in a positive way with each other. And then they have said that they get to know their classmates and they feel a lot less isolated, or they feel like they're really in class. The final thing I do throughout the semester is I have a goodbye. I feel like I felt like a lot of online classes just kind of end, and there's no like wrap up. There's no like, what did we learn? There's no like takeaway moments. It's just like, okay, we're all done. Turn in your last assignment and move on. And so I like VoiceThread. I do a similar VoiceThread from the beginning of the semester, and at the end they get to do a little shout out and say hello to, or say goodbye to everyone. And so here's sharing their favorite moments. It's very short. I say you got 1 text comment, 2 audios, and then an optional. They don't have to say goodbye to me, but it's nice when they do. So I have a favorite thing they learned. I have plans for their future for this one, and I say adios to your classmates, and then this one is optional, right? They can say goodbye to me or not. And then and I had a little quote here, and say congrats to the grads and things like that. And I felt that this helped kind of close up the semester and also gave me a chance to see what the students liked about the semester. Each one of my goodbyes are different. Sometimes I say if it's a language class, I'm like, you learned these 10 these 10 topics. We talked about these things. You learned these 5 new grammar elements. You learned over 500 vocab words, right? And I like help them see what they learned and then ask what they liked. So it just depends on the type of class. But for me, it really sets the tone of like, hey, goodbye, and then also an opportunity to talk to me at the end, kind of like you would at the end. So kind of in summary, before we go into a Q&A, the activities that you can do, you can assign it to watch. What I use the watch only VoiceThread assignment for is tutorials, welcome videos, and announcements or explanation videos for projects or exams. You can also assign it to create assignments. So I like this for demonstrations and presentations. So when you assign the student to create a VoiceThread, it will create that gallery, and they create their own VoiceThread from scratch. And they have the slides and they narrate them and they post that to a gallery. So again, if they're demoing something or if they're presenting some information, I like that. I also like it for oral examinations, because if it's a presentation, because I can lock it to where I'm the only one that can see it. So I can have a student gallery where everyone can see the presentations, or I can have it locked where only I can see it. So I like that for that. And then the comment assignments are the ones that I showed the most example from, because I use those week by week. And I like those for interactive lectures where they stop and participate. I like those for small group discussions, and I like those for peer reviews as well, because they can upload a page. If it's a 1 page, they can upload the page and they can annotate, and they can even write on the screen. And so I like that those are the activities that you can do. So I'll wrap up by saying it's a tool that I really like. I am not paid to do this, but I would not want to teach online without VoiceThread. And so I've been really trying to get the word out there and what you can do. And I have students, I won't read all of these, but these are from student surveys, although we've been doing more surveys. So I have some more recent ones. I just haven't compiled all the data yet. But the students point out that it's easy to use. It makes the class assignments more interactive and engaging. And this one I liked a lot. They felt connected to their classmates. Some of the other students said that going into this class, they didn't know what to expect and they had a lot of stress. But then afterwards, they were like, oh, I can do this. And they felt supported by their students and by the class. And so there, if you want to use it, you can reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. There are some tutorials as well, and we can help you get it set up to your classes. So thank you, and then I hope we still have time for questions. Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Hale, we do have time for questions. Thank you for that. So
Yeah.
one of the things that, and this is my own, kind of thing, I see this and I think, oh my God, how am I going to get good at that? So what's kind of the learning curve? How long would I have to play with this before it kind of was natural to me and I felt like I could actually handle some students' questions and those kinds of things. So how do I get started and how quickly am I going?
Yeah. So I will say too, I think I'll stop sharing so we can see the gallery view of everyone. I think for an online class, I always think about the first time you teach it is getting the content out and building that. The second time you teach it is integrating like more elements of maybe more details of instructions, things. And the third time you teach it, you have like beautification, right? You have like quotes and colors and design. And so if you're at that first level, the first time you're teaching a course, I would say for VoiceThreads to maybe make some that are lectures that you have to watch and maybe incorporate one participation slide, right? And then work your way up to group discussions, which are harder to manage and do. In terms of making a VoiceThread, it takes like 20 to 30 minutes to like just learn the tool and do it. It's actually pretty quick for online tools. Once you log in, you click create and then you add your slides and you go over. I can actually demo it probably in 30 seconds. So let me open up VoiceThread and we'll show you how you can create it. I'll upload my slides for today. Let me make sure it's open. There we go. So I'll share my screen again. And we have some people in here who have used it before too. So here I have VoiceThreads up here in the, can you see my screen? It should look like some little icons and stuff. Okay. So here, if I click create a new VoiceThread, I can record directly a video. I can copy it from another one. I can also add a YouTube video. I like that because it doesn't have the ads. So if I have a student, if I'm saying I watch this YouTube video and then do this other assignment, I can assign that there and just put the link in and it's great. It will also maintain captions. You can also record audio or add a picture. But the one that's most common is this add from device. So I'll click this and I'll upload my slides from today's presentation. So TLC presentation. It'll take a minute. You saw that it went real quick. So now I have all my slides. It'll take a second to kind of load them all. And then I'll click on the slide that I want to record on. I'm not sure if it will let me record while I'm also on Zoom. So this will be a fun experiment. So then I can open it. It might take a second to load. Yeah, it's still loading. And then once I have it, maybe while this is loading, I'll show how to record one on the previous one. So here, here's a good, I was trying to see if I have one in English, but I guess that doesn't really matter. Some of these are my students that they are from their thing. Here, we'll use this one. So while that one's loading, once you have your slides uploaded, if I want to add a video comment and narrate it, I click this comment here, this more. I can add a text I can add just audio, or I can do audio or video. Or if I have a pre-recorded thing, I can do that here. So if I do a video, all right, let's see if it'll let me with Zoom on. Yeah, it won't, because I'm doing two actions at the same time. But if we do it, let's see if it'll do the audio. Okay, you'll have a little countdown, and then you can start recording. You can also use the draw, and so you could draw on the screen, underline things. You can draw. You can have that fade in or out if you want the fade for it to fade away or not. You can. You can also advance slides. So you could record over multiple slides at the same time by simply advancing. And so if I stop this now, you'll get a little preview. You can listen to it. You can record more.
And then you can start recording.
And so when a student clicks on this link, and if I've advanced slides, it will advance slides as I'm talking. So it records that. So let's play.
And then you can start recording. You can also use the draw. And so you could draw on the screen, underline things.
So this is what it would look like to a student.
You can have that fade in or out if you want the fade for it to fade away or not. You can. You can also advance
see how it
slides.
advanced
So you
the
could
slide by
record over
itself,
multiple slides at
right?
the same time.
And so
by
you can
simply
take students
advancing.
through the slides.
And so if I stop this,
and then we can stop. We don't have to listen to it. Now, since we don't actually need this one, I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. If I wanted to save it, I could download it and use it again for other ones, etc. And so I'm going to delete it because we don't need that one. This is mine with my video. And you can see as I'm talking, it goes through the slides as well. So right there, you can add the slides and record, and you've seen how straightforward it is. It looks like our TLC one is ready, which is great too. You'll notice it changed the formatting a little bit. I do recommend uploading a PDF version rather than just the PowerPoint if you want to maintain formatting. You can see all of your slides at once, and so you could jump around. This might be a good place where I maybe would record on each example slide, whereas the other ones, I might do my introduction all at the same time. But that's as easy as it is for that. Does that answer your question? Kind of a quick demo.
It does.
Yeah.
I think it's still something I'd have to play with a little bit to kind of wrap my head around.
Of course.
But I feel a little bit more empowered that I'd be successful if I did that. So I appreciate that. So my next question is from the student perspective. So, number one, what's the kind of feedback they give you as the instructor, but also what are the kind of challenges they might bring to us? So if I put this in my class, what kind of issues or troubles or questions might my students have? But generally, what are their perspective and feedback on this?
Yeah, so students have, usually it's very positive. There's always one or two students who are like, I wanted to take an online class to not talk to anyone and not do anything and not engage. And I just wanted to read it and do it and move on. And I was like, well, that's what MOOCs are for. And so you can take those massive online courses somewhere else, and you can do Spanish that way. You can do a lot of things that way. This particular course is designed for engagement and to actually get talking and using that. And so, but usually it's overwhelmingly positive. Sometimes in the beginning, students struggle with how to upload something on the platform or how to record their audio or video. And so I meet with them via Zoom, and we resolve that usually within one meeting. They have that by the end of week 1. If I see a student hasn't uploaded a slide and narrated on it, I contact them and I meet up with them. But usually the students, they're usually very quick with this particular platform. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answered your question either, but the students tend to be really, really excited that they have a voice in the class and that they get to see each other.
No,
Andy put
that
it.
definitely
Andy's my co-coordinator, and so she uses VoiceThread as well. Her and I redesigned our entire online Spanish program using VoiceThread. So, yeah. Did you want to add something, Andy?
Yeah, I would just say I almost like Raelynne, almost every student issue that I've had has been easily resolved. I had one student this semester who made it about halfway through the semester without being able to access VoiceThread. However, the VoiceThread support team gave him the exact fix like week 2 of the semester that he needed to do, and he just didn't do it. So I would say, like, as long as students are proactive and actually like do what the VoiceThread support team tells them to do. It's really easy to use. Their tutorials make it really easy so that like it's like, do you need help, creating your VoiceThread? Here's a short like 2-minute video that explains exactly how you do it. And so it's been, and any issues that I've had, I've been able to reach out to the VoiceThread support team. And they've been able to help really quick with both my issues and student issues. So that's the advantage of using a paid service like this.
The question in the chat was from Deb. It says, it looks like instructors create in VoiceThread and then load into Canvas. Do student interface with Canvas, or do they have to create a VoiceThread account? They will they will interact with Canvas. As soon as you've integrated it, they will interact with Canvas. And that's really great because it keeps all of their participation in Canvas. So it's secure and it has to be logged in, and only the people of that class can see that participation and that information. So they will log into Canvas, click on the assignment, and participate from there. From Canvas, it auto generates the login for VoiceThread, but they actually can't log in directly from VoiceThread. They have to log in from their Canvas course, and that's for protection and security and privacy and all that. And so they interact with Canvas. I actually can show you a little bit of what it looks like on Canvas. This is our current course. This is taught by a grad student of ours, and her and I designed this together, and she recorded it. So when students go into their module for the week, they have their, as you might expect, their agenda for the week and what they're going to be doing. Let me collapse these. There we go. So let's take week 4, for example. So we've got a welcome week, maybe maybe a quiz or something they're doing. And then here we have VoiceThread, Unit 9. So the student, actually, I should just click on student view. Although sometimes it doesn't like my account as a student with VoiceThread because I am an admin user. So we'll see if it allows me to do it. But here the student will click on VoiceThread, and then it will open. Here you can add instructions just like a regular. Am I sharing screen? Yes. It will share, you can share instructions just like a regular assignment page, add deadlines, different participation, all these different things. We have, she likes her Bitmojis like I do. So she's like, let's go. And then the students click on this link and it opens up. Yeah, it won't let me because I'm an admin. But the students click on that link and then they immediately participate. If I click on the link, it looks a little bit different for me because I'm the admin and the teacher who can grade it. So this is what it looks like as a teacher and how you can grade it. It has the assignment content, and on the side, it has all the students. If you click on the student, it will take you immediately to their comments, and you can listen to their comments and see those comments here, and you can move forward, right? Once you've graded it, it tucks it over to the graded side and auto adds it to your Canvas gradebook, right? So I like it because it consolidates all the student participations right in one location. Or you can go to the slide where you have the stop and share and you can review all the students. You can even search a student. If a student was like, oh, I participated, then you can be like, oh, did you? And then you can type in their name and be like, oh, well, I don't see any comments for you, right? And so it's really easy to grade assignments as the instructor. And as the student, again, you click on the Canvas, it opens up, you hit play, and then you watch it, and then you stop on and then it'll pause on that, and you scroll through the slides with these little arrows, and you use it that way. So students engage with it from Canvas. Andy said grading the VoiceThread assignments are really easy. It is, but the students get really into it, so they do leave a lot of comments. So if like Dawn said, if this is the first time you're doing it, don't put 10 stop and participates, because then you will have 10 times however many students you have comments that you've got to listen to and go through, right? I will say there is up to 4 times speed on this. So if you are someone who likes to listen to things a little bit more quickly, you can do that. But just be conscientious. The more you ask students to participate, the more they will participate. So my grad students, I had to start putting a cap on them because I put like a 45-minute lecture up and they added 2 hours of content to that assignment, right? So I had to curb and be like, okay, we've got to limit our comments to 3 minutes or less and when we're engaging, because if you ask the students to their opinion, their ideas, they will share them. So Cindy says,
Oh.
does it integrate into SpeedGrader so you can add rubrics? It does. You can use rubrics, but if you use rubrics, you have to grade in Canvas and use that rubric and not on VoiceThread. The VoiceThread will only send a numerical value over. So in those cases, especially if it's a more if it's a presentation, I'll have the rubric and I'll have the VoiceThread open on the other side. If you want to use the rubric for grading, if you want the rubric just for feedback, you can use it for that and then the grading. VoiceThread only communicates one direction, and that's VoiceThread to Canvas. Yeah.
I'll add with the grading, I treat VoiceThread participation like similar to an in-person class where I do a lot of spot checking. Like if I'm in an in-person class, I'm not hearing every student comment throughout the class. I'll just check into like, what are the things that I really want to hear? Specifically, if there's one student that, you know, I feel needs a little bit of extra help, I might pay more attention to what they're producing. But I just kind of like go around the classroom and listen to their comments. And so I'll open them up, listen to a few, usually on like 2 or 3 times speed. But also this is for like introductory Spanish. They speak pretty slow. And so zooming it up to 3 times speed makes it sound more like a normal pace. But I think that you can take it how you want. But for a grad course, I would be more like in depth and paying attention to have fewer comments, but much more in depth. For a Spanish 1 course, I have them just like produce a lot to practice, but I don't necessarily listen to every single thing that they say.
Yeah. It's also, when it's a language class, it's also really easy to hear the other language. So like when you're listening to them, you're like, oh, that's English. So that's, you know, and we train our grad students for that as well. The grad students who teach these courses, we say, you know, the weekly lectures, it's just about the practice. The ones that are assessments where they're doing presentations and stuff, we need to listen to those, use the grade book or use the rubric, give very detailed feedback. But for this is again, just like in class participation or asynchronous or in person where, you know, the students are participating. You're like, yep, you did all the comments and you participated and you were engaged. Yeah. Deb asked if there were hands-on workshops on tools like this. I don't know what online learning essentials is, but I would be more than happy to give some of those workshops. If you know who I need to get in contact with to do that, I would love to offer them. I wouldn't mind at all. Doing that. The OCDI, you're fine. OCDI does not currently have training on this VoiceThread. I have been a guest speaker for them though and talked about it. But again, I'm more than happy to help. Either maybe we should have another TLC workshop, which is like how to make a VoiceThread. I don't know. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to do that.
I'm much more hands-on. Like I would love to be you know, have mine open and you have the instruction slide and I'm trying it at the same time because I think that's easier for me than watching. I mean, I'll go watch the videos because I'm excited about the possibilities you're showing me. And I'll bumble through it, but it probably would learn and stick quicker for me if I was doing it in a computer lab or even in a setting like this where I'm also logged in and trying something.
Alice, do you know any instructional designers that are trained in VoiceThread or have used it? I'm sorry to put you on the spot here. And Alice is an
Sorry, I was
instructional
trying to
designer
get
for the
my-
K-State Library. Yeah.
Get my microphone turned
Yeah,
on.
sorry. I know. I just put you on the spot.
That's fine. I did try it. I used they had a free version for a little while, like 5-6 years ago.
Mhm.
Seems like a long time ago. But that's, as far as I know, that's the last I know of anybody in particular using that. Question, you're sponsoring for the university, you said. So how does one, if they wanted to do this, is it just in the drop-down tools to add it in, or do we have to apply for an account? What do we do?
Yeah, in order to have integration with Canvas, it actually has to go through our department first. Since we are the one funding, we have to keep track of who's using it, and how many people we have, because every 100 users we have increases the cost. And so right now we're trying to work with IT, and other people to see if we can get more university-wide funding. And if we get university-wide funding, then we'll have an SSO, and then you just log in on VoiceThread. But at the moment, because we have a limited license, you can email me, or you can email IT to request integration for Canvas. And that's how we're doing it at the moment. We're hoping for it just to be SSO and sign up, but that's been a long process. So there's been some chat in the Cindy said that they're an instructional designer as well for Center for Academic Innovation. Do you guys have a VoiceThread training? I'm just putting people on the
Sorry,
spot today.
no, I had to, my
Sorry.
mouse is currently on charge. I had to find another way to get to the mute button. We don't have anything currently. We're hoping to offer more training later in the year.
Mhm.
But unless we can get it pushed out to everybody automatically rather than a request by individual people, it probably won't make the cut. But if more people are interested in it and more people keep asking, it would make it easier for Canvas admin to say, you know what, let's make this available for everybody automatically. And then we would be able to provide more support.
Okay, so how do we go about doing that? Because at the moment we have 500 active users, which is already a lot. And are you the person that we can chat with about it? No, okay.
You would need to talk to Scott Finkeldye.
We're in conversation with Scott Finkeldye and we have the go ahead for SSO. We just need to
Yeah, he would probably have to route it
okay.
to those above him if you want to
Okay.
get it a
Okay, cool.
blanket
Okay.
integration.
All right, we are in the right direction then.
Best
So
of luck.
maybe by fall. That's great. Yeah. You can use VoiceThread for free. I will say that you can create an account for free on VoiceThread. It just doesn't have the Canvas integration, and you can link and you can just share the link with students and they can participate on it that way to have the speed grader and the Canvas integration and all of those things that are all nice together. And for students to access it directly on Canvas, it has to be through the license. But you can play with it for free. You can make an account with your K-State or your KSU email, and you can play with VoiceThread for free before deciding to integrate it, because they do offer free accounts. You can make up, I think, like a dozen VoiceThread a year or something for free. Yeah, and I know we're nearing the time, so any last minute questions?
Well, Dr. Hale, thank you so much for sharing VoiceThread with us and for being so willing to devote your time and a lot of different things to energize teaching and learning in a lot of different ways here at K-State. I think I'm very happy to have you as a colleague doing all of those things.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a post-event survey for those of you here to kind of talk about your reactions to this event. Also let you know we're going to post this for asynchronous viewing a little bit later today on the TLC website, so please do check that out. I'll remind you that next week's event will be Gaia Hawk talking about what are we supposed to do, giving effective directions to enhance student learning. I'll remind you our Soto Showcase is coming up that Monday of finals week. And if you wanted to get into that thing and didn't get in and you just missed it, email me directly and we'll see what we can do. And if you have any colleagues who have some interesting teaching ideas or even teaching related research, have them reach out to me pretty damn quick. We could potentially include them in that Soto Showcase. But thank you all for taking some time on a Wednesday to be with us. And I hope the rest of your semesters go well. We'll see you next week.